I wear the Thornberries, and I'm Eric.
I'm Gay.
I'm Tammy.
And this is our story.
He was at a friend's in January, and we had a phone call that he had fainted, and so I was on my way home and I rushed over, and it seemed odd to me, but we took him to the emergency room and doctors checked him out and said everything was fine, and we just kind of moved on. And through the month of January and February, he started complaining of having headaches, and they just kind of, every day, every 2 or 3 days, he would have a mild one, and they started getting worse. And over the course of those few weeks, Jay had started losing weight. He had been very fatigued. He was sluggish, pale. That was one of the things Eric talked about a lot, was he started getting dark circles under his eyes.
I wasn't sure. He was 6 years old, Is his head really hurting? That I was kind of going through that, and I didn't think anything. But and we would even kind of like, boy, do we really need to be doing all this? And I kind of took the attitude, well, it can't hurt, to go and have these tests run.
And we went to the EEG lab and sat him down, and he started getting really testy, which is not like him. And in fact, he was just downright hateful to me and the EEG tech both, and Eric and I both went to discipline him. And when we went to discipline him, he had a full-blown seizure. It
didn't hit me until when he had that seizure, and I can tell you that, my heart was ripped out. So I picked him up, and Tammy said, no, put him down, and he was just stiff as a board. And so then I put him down, and then I thought, no, I'm picking him back up. And, the EKG person was like freaking out. And then when he got done, he started getting sick, throwing up, and.
And so we went up and saw Dr. Jones, and he, I went to put Jay on the table, and he said, you just hold him, it's okay. And I said, I need to know what you think this is. And he said, well, we need to get a picture of his brain. And I said, tell me you don't think this is a brain tumor. And what you really want to hear your doctor say is, not even on my radar. And he put a hand on each of my shoulders and looked me straight in the eye and said, never underestimate the power of our God. And he walked over and he put his hand on Jay's head and he said, I believe this little boy's blessed. And I want you to call your church, and I want you to call your friends, and I want you to start praying, and I'm going to pray too.
Late Thursday night, when I just thought, I'm not the greatest Bible scholar, I don't read it near as much as I should, but I know that somewhere in the Bible it says that when someone's sick, that the elders should pray for them. Tammy told me that Kevin had called and said, can we do it during the service? And I was like, oh, okay, we won't check him into Kids Town, and sure. And then he, said that from the stage, and I thought that's cool, because, not only other people have things to pray for too. But he invited other people to come up and pray with us. He specifically said, God, heal this kid. And we're praying, and then I was all fine until I turned around, and there was like 50 people that were there praying with us. And then some guy in the church, I don't know who it was, to thank him, said, somebody gave me this cross, and I think you need it more than I do. And he handed it to Jay. And so whoever that was, thanks. I don't know who it was.
It played a really important part on Monday.
And so then when we got Jay up,
it was the first thing he asked for.
He clutched that cross the whole time, And then they did finally call back and said the MRI doesn't show anything.
Do you remember what you told me? What'd you tell me?
Because God, there was something in my head, so there was something wrong. God was wrestling with the thing in my head.
He said, I'm trying to wrestle with that in my own way without especially telling people that maybe don't go to Crossroads or don't know us well, that, we prayed for healing, and he's better. And so that's the only answer that I can give.
On my way out of work today, on my way here, a parent at my school said, you look like you're in a hurry. And I said, I am. And she said, where are you going? And I said, you know what, I'm going to church to talk about my son. And she said, well, somebody had kind of mentioned that something was wrong, and I didn't really want to ask. And so I had the chance. I stopped on the sidewalk, and I shared the story with her. And she stood there for a minute, and a tear fell. And she said, you know what, I'm not really a very spiritual person. And she goes, I don't know that I've always really believed in that kind of stuff, but I have chills. And so she held her arm out, and there were goosebumps on her arm, and she said, I don't think I've ever heard a story like that. And I think you're right. I think that's it. I think it's the voice of a child. If I had said, I believe this and that and whatever, but when you say to someone, my son said, it's okay now, God took care of it, and you don't need to worry anymore, Mommy, that moves people. And you think about the Bible and how important God thought the little children were. And you think about a D6 home, you know?
Yeah.
God chose a child to shape the world, and he chose a home to shape the child, and he chose a church to shape us, and we couldn't ask for a better place to be involved in that. We really couldn't.
Some people don't ask if they really, really want something. They need to ask, and some people don't ask.
So the key is praying and asking, isn't it?
What do you believe?
I believe that the power of God can do anything.
Okay. What do you believe?
I believe that the power of God can do anything.
Okay.